Hi there, Delight here. I'm coming to you today with the project share of a little golden book taken apart and made into a junk journal. This is obviously the Shy Little Kitty book, and I took it apart and reconstructed it, put a new spine on it, and covered it with fabric, and did the button type of hand binding that Gail Agostinelli teaches. Found a little cat button, which is kind of cool, and put that in there, and a little cat fabric. So since this is all thing cats, it'll be all thing cats. When I do the button closures, I make the button for my closures. I try to do this whenever I use the button binding, and I really kind of enjoy them, and I love the elastic closures. They just make a lot of sense to me. With my hands the way they are, tying things is very difficult, and so I like the way they look with the sari silk or a tied, but it just doesn't work for me, so this is what I've standardized on. I have used I took the book completely apart and took off the golden book spine so that I wouldn't have to fold or cut the pages very much. I do cut them a little bit because I have found it's kind of difficult for me to get them back in true like they come from the factory if the pages go clear to the absolute measurement of the book back. So I do a little bit of trimming, but not enough to interfere with the pictures or the story of the book. I have started to do a library pocket in the front with an identifying tag. I usually stick a couple more tags in just to make it cute, but I like to put this in the front so that whoever has it can identify it. I used the cat fabric for the inside of the spine. I also use the Tyvek and make sure it's a very reinforced one, and I reinforce the books, the ditch that's in the book that makes it floppy so that the front holds together. I like being able to use the whole page. I also love to have this little, use the golden spine and put new adhesive on it and put it on the first page, because to me this says little golden book. This one is about cats. Anytime I have a little golden book that has a story, I use all of the pages intact in order so that you can still read the book. I think that's really important, and I do that by identifying each of the book pages proper with some kind of a distinctive tag. In this case, it's some paper I printed with kitty faces all over it, and all of the tags that you see all identify the original pages so that if you wanted to read the story in total, you could just go from tab to tab to tab, and you'd have the whole story. This one, of course, is all about kitties, so there's kitties all over the place. These are from digitals that I got some from Etsy, some from Pinterest, some just I go online and roam around and get them. You know how we do. This particular tag was made from I got some file folders at Tuesday Morning that were nice heavy ones, and they had polka dots on. I love polka dots. They had big initial on them, but that's no big deal. I cover that up anyway. And I really like these for the tags, and I've started to embellish some of them just a little bit on the back, on the bottom. We have this problem, those of us that make junk journals, plain things offend us, I guess. So we're forever trying to figure out how to take something that's plain and at least do something with it. So I have started to do this on a lot of tags. I have to keep myself in check, or pretty soon there won't be any room to write, and that doesn't make any sense. I like to use dictionary titles or definitions of relevant words to a book, and so that's in here. I use papers that mostly I create. I use some scrapbook paper, but mostly it's papers that I create from digitals that I've gotten, or my own artwork, and lots of places to write. I like to use old ledger paper, which this is an old bookkeeping ledger, graph paper, all kind of old office supplies. That's what I haunt and make. If I need to use a paper clip, on this one I decided I want to put another one of these in a little sort of a belly band, but to make sure it stays in place I put a paper clip on it, and these are just embellished with some ribbon and lace. And the ones that I use for purposeful things like this, I do not use the identifiers for the story. That way, when they're reading the story, if they want to, they know that there's something here that you can look at, but this is where I want to find out what's going on with that shy little kitty. I use all kinds of leftover paper so that I can upcycle them. This one has an envelope. I forget who I saw do this. They decorated an envelope, and that's what I did on this. I put some text paper, some parchment, and some kitty cat fold outs, and then made it so that you could use it for decoration by folding it over the page and then putting a paper clip on it to hold it into place. And I kind of like that technique. It's new to me. One of the girls did it. So many creative people on YouTube. If you're not watching YouTube and you're just starting, you're in for a treat. This is one of the junk journal envelopes. I love upcycling the envelopes and bound it in to make a tuck spot. Put whatever you want to put. This is a scrapbook paper, so I do use scrapbook papers, but not a lot of them. In this case, it was a long sheet, so I kept it, folded it up for pocket. Again, more kitty cats. A lot of my graphics I actually kept from. I've had them for years and years, literally like close to 15 years, from when I made and sold cards in bookstores in Northeast Ohio. And I like to have these kind of things. This is an envelope, again, made out. This is scrapbook paper. And I do use some scrapbook paper. I just don't use a lot. With a, might have been Wendy's journal that I saw this in, but I just made a layer with some textbook paper, page out of a book. Some kind of netty stuff. I don't know what it is. It was off of something, and a piece of ribbon and zigzagged over it just to make it kind of special. So I like to use things like that where people can journal and make it a little more private. I've been dyeing filters and paper doilies with food coloring. A lot of the girls were doing Kool-Aid, and I thought, there's not what makes Kool-Aid colors is just food coloring, so why would I pay all that money for Kool-Aid when I have food coloring here? So that's what I do. This is old sheet music, and I like to get the activity books for kids at the dollar store or yard sales or whatever, and I stick those in. One of Gail Agostinelli's fabric flips, and again, it is kitty cat, and it's actually fabric that I actually found. A lot of times I have trouble finding fabrics that match my theme, so I print on muslin, make my own. But this time I did some rubber stamping in it, although I'm not a big rubber stamper, as those of you who know me know. This is the inside from your binding. Some more of my papers that I make. And this is a bag that I used as a pocket. These come, I think, from Dollar Tree, and I just glue them in, cut them down, glue them in, reinforce the top, and then this little flap I glue over here so that it can be an extra little spot to put something. Got a kitty peeking out. Those are kind of fun. Again, this one I know came from Pinterest. Another this is one of the other kind of Gail letters where she just folds the paper and ends up making it look like an envelope, but it's a really nice big journaling thing. Love that. Gail, I appreciate the fact that you're so willing to share All the artists on Etsy are so nice to share, and as soon as I get going now, I'm getting ready to launch this, and I will be doing some how-tos for different things I do to share with everybody, because everybody's so good about sharing. All of these kind of tags are artwork that I have on my computer. This is a, I forget who did these. They say a lady's name all the time. Francie, maybe? They're kind of fun to have. Again, this is the other half of the envelope that I'm upcycling. I just put text on it and a little cutout, probably a Tracy. I'm sure this is a Tracy Fox. So when I have a need for a paper clip and I want to embellish it, I just throw some lace or ribbon on. I don't do a lot of fancy embellishment on paper clips yet. Although I keep watching those YouTubes, and one of these days, some of the artwork I have are actually from graphics that were in the old Dick and Jane books. I have a couple of those, and I really like them. Sometimes when I print out, which I did this one, I printed out probably 3.5 by 5. And the design likes to be cut around, and I do that. I think it's kind of interesting and something a little special. Other times it's just a plain old tag ready for somebody to do something with. I try not to fill up everything and to finish everything because these are going to creative people unless they want a chunky monkey just to look at. I found these little teeny weeny bags and love stuff like this. It makes a nice extra little pop of something. These are envelopes that I made out of book pages. Come on out of there, you. Got me stuck. And I do like to do that. This one's a story about a boy at home, sort of scary story, but it had kitty cats, so I thought that would be a good thing. And I make little cards and stick them in, and these are punches, circle punches that I punch out of the same book, so that so they work together, and it just dresses it up a little bit. These are simply an envelope made out of a page of a book, and they just are really nice for extra little tuck spots, journaling places. Story goes on. These are from a daily planner, an old one. Belly band, and this one, I take all kind of text sometimes. I keep all the pieces that I'm throwing off when I'm working, and then I take a piece of, in this case this is a piece of file folder. I just open it up and I just glue like crazy, and glue all kind of randomness, and put the pieces, you can see it behind the parchment paper. The pocket itself is parchment. I like it because you can see through it and has a little kitty on it, but the background paper is all of the text that's just randomly stuck. And then those kind of things, sometimes I use them as the actual collage, and sometimes, usually when I get one that looks kind of nice, I put it in my computer and then I have it to print out for later. Another coffee filter dyed sort of purpley pinky. This is sort of a girly one, so there's a lot of pink and purple in this one. Here's one of those junk mail envelopes, and this one I didn't wipe the ink off. Usually I wipe the ink off, but sometimes some of the designs I really like, you can see how the purple ink and stuff is. On this one, I didn't wipe all of this off, so this would be a clear envelope, because I thought it was kind of cool. But it takes forever for it to dry. So, coloring book page, I always try to include one of those. Graph paper I really enjoy. Again, and lots of different kind of bags and different sizes of bags, and little mini flip. I like to make lots of these little notebooks, these kind. So if somebody wants to write down or give somebody some information, they can write it down, tear it off, and give it to them, and they're not taking something out of a page. And the odds and ends of the pieces of the fabric from making these, I keep all the little strips, and then use them to make the little individual notebooks. This bag was kind of short. It wasn't going to make a good page, so I folded it with just a little bit showing on the back half of the signature, and then I was able to slice a really nice looking envelope that I got that had really pretty design on the inside. So I did that and put it in and just glued it onto this little tiny strip. So that's a good way to make an extra little something something on the inside. Lots of parchment, lots of stories. This is a, yeah, I printed this one too. These are some more that I printed. And I like to make all sizes, get all sizes of envelopes. These are little tiny coin envelopes that you can get. A lot of times I find these in the Target dollar place or Michael's bargain bins, good place. And some more, all these papers that are cat themed I've printed. And at the end of each golden book I've gotten so that I like to keep a place for people to put pictures and things that they're going to put in, but they're not ready to put them in yet. And they've got a good place to store it until they put it in the book. And that way they don't have to remember, what did I do with that thing I wanted to put in the book? And also, if you have more than one book, you can identify where it is. And little tags, something on the end. And that is the way I did the Shy Little Kitty Little Golden Book Junk Journal. Sort of girly, sort of meowy, lots of fun. Enough said.